I guess you'd have to be a preacher to know why this verse from Luke 10:16 it has got to be one of the most intimidating, but also in a weirdly way liberating of statements Jesus ever made. Whoever listens to you listens to me, and whoever rejects you rejects me. Whoever rejects me rejects the one who sent me. Moving from his forlorn parish in Switzerland to the rarefied world of the University of Göttingen in 1924, Karl Barth began lectures on Reformed theology, opening with a thunderous, "Preachers dare." Barth told his students that theology keeps preaching as risky as Jesus means it to be, testing preaching to ensure that preaching hasn't lost its nerve, daring preachers to get out of the way so that God can use our sermons to speak. God gives preachers guts. It's not a sermon until God shows up. Barth says, preachers dare. Dare what? Preachers dare to talk about the God who in Jesus Christ, by the power of the Holy Spirit, risked talk with us, making our sermons God's sermons. Here's what Barth said. Preachers dare. They dare as though the history of philosophy had ended with the most satisfying definite result. They dare to take the whole world, nature, which is so incommensurable, the sphinx of past history, the mystery of future history, the riddle of the individual, destiny, guilt, death. They dare to bracket all these things and deal with them from the outside, tossing out words such as eternity, assurance, victory, forgiveness, righteousness, Lord, life. But no homiletical stupidity, ineptitude, or perversion can alter the fact. Preachers simply repeat what they have heard and learned from others. They do so boldly. They dare to speak about God. I've now published a book that I guess is my dissent against homiletics as an exclusively human endeavor, rhetoric, or homiletics as a taxonomy of effective sermon forms and styles, poetics. The only good reason to bother people with a sermon, the sole rationale for investing a life in this vocation, is theological. If preaching is what everybody else already is talking about, that is our vaunted subjectivity, our screwed up democracy, our insatiable idolization of ourselves, well, who needs courage to dare that? It takes nerve to preach not ourselves, as Paul says in 2 Corinthians, not to cower before Jesus' brash declaration, whoever listens to you is listening to me. I believe Karl Barth can help contemporary preachers rediscover preaching as an essentially theological endeavor, God speaking. When preaching degenerates into moralistic advice or principles for better living or political commentary, whether of the right or the left, helpful but still trifling, hints for humanity, Barth recalls preachers to witness to preaching as the very voice of God. Every week, the church, in wildly diverse settings and means, listens to an ancient book and responds, "The word of the Lord." This wonder is followed by another when God's people say, "Thanks be to God." And as if this were not enough, somebody like me stands up and presumes to speak for God. thereby prepping the congregation to go back into the world as God's designated speakers. That's the odd, miraculous chain of events I celebrate in my book, Preachers Dare, Speaking for God. When I left Yale Divinity School, I wondered how somebody as flawed as I could preach from a book so disorderly and poorly edited as the Bible. Well, that's about the time I met Karl Barth of the Göttingen Dogmatics, a series of lectures that Barth said were born out of the concrete situation of preachers mounting the pulpit steps. I've experienced this homiletical vocation, not as trudging up pulpit steps, but rather more often as getting stuffed into the muzzle of a cannon by the biblical canon, God lighting the fuse, hurling me toward God's people. God only knows where I'll land next Sunday. Karl Barth gave me the pluck to spend a lifetime attempting to talk to the God who is so recklessly, vividly spoken to us in Jesus Christ. And then, here's the wonder, and then commanded cowards like us to speak to Jesus, to the world. In this, my most recent homiletical provocation, I try to double dog dare my fellow preachers, again joyfully to speak with the God who is so recklessly, redemptively risk speech to us.